What's up? I'm Brody-Waite, and today I'm going to teach you how to not let fear make you sweat using uncomfortable work. Now, before I get into this story, I'm doing these videos and bringing them to you every single week so that I can help you live and lead mask-free. So if you haven't, please hit subscribe so that you don't miss any. So here's a story about when fear was making me sweat and how I was able to work through it. Now I'm kind of being punny and literal. I remember when I was in treatment, in rehab here in Tennessee, one of the things that we would do every once in a while is go to a sweat lodge. Now, I don't know if you know what a sweat lodge is, but it's like a sauna, except way scarier and worse. It's a tiny little tent that's loaded up with blankets where they put these extremely hot rocks that create a tremendous amount of steam. And so what you do is you huddle in the middle of the dark, like next to 20 people in literally like a 20 square foot space in like 150 degrees that's wet because it's coming from steam. And you just sit there for 2 or 3 hours doing stuff like spiritual stuff, like saying things. And so for me, I'm claustrophobic. So being in a dark space where I can't see anything and I can't move is scary. But then adding on top of that, being next to like 19 other dudes while I'm doing that is extra scary. And then add on top of that, it's 150 degrees and it's extremely, extremely wet, which makes it feel like you can't breathe. And I was sitting there and I'm feeling like I'm gonna die. So I get into the sweat lodge, and I remember one of the things that people asked me was like, are you gonna get out? Are you gonna be able to see this through? And I'm like, I get the bravado thing, I put on the mask. I'm like, yeah, man, of course I'm gonna be able to get through this sweat lodge, like no problem. Inside, I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea how I'm gonna do this. And I'm terrified, and I'm not even sure what it is. So I get into it, and after the first round, there's typically, I don't remember how many rounds, like 4 or 6. But after the first round, I remember I went from, oh, this is new and this is different, to, oh my God, I'm going to die. The steam was in my lungs and it made it feel like I couldn't breathe. And then I started thinking about the entire tent collapsing on us and not being able to breathe and not being able to get out in time and not being able to survive. My heart started racing and I felt all this fear. I don't know if you guys have ever been trapped in a situation physically where technically you were okay, but you were kind of scared. You intellectually know you're gonna be okay, but experientially, you think and you know you're gonna die, especially if things go a certain way, which you're terrified is gonna happen and your fear is telling you is going to happen. I'm like sitting there and I'm thinking, I see the headline, there have been 1,000 safe sweat lodge experiences, but Brody-Waite died in the 1,001th. So I start freaking out and eventually I just can't tolerate all of the fear. And so I'm sitting there and I don't wanna look weak. I don't want the other people in the sweat lodge to think that I am weak and jump out early. But my fear was stronger than my desire to look strong. And so I left. And I remember I just sat out there while everybody else was doing the sweat lodge, beating myself up, feeling weak, feeling vulnerable, feeling like a tremendous amount of judgment that I wasn't able to get through it, because once I was out there, I was like, you know what? I don't think I was gonna die. These guys clearly aren't dying, so I don't know why I was gonna die. So I get back to the treatment center and I share with one of the counselors what had happened. And I remember his name was Hunter, and he told me something that I will never forget. He said, the sweat lodge is an excellent opportunity to learn that your fear is a liar. I thought about that. And at the beginning when he said it, I thought it was some slick stuff a counselor would say that sounds good. But it stuck with me. And the next time I did the sweat lodge, I essentially went through the 3 principles. And I start, for the sake of time, with surrender the outcome. I can't control that my brain is going to tell me I'm going to die and that this situation is really scary and sucky. I can control whether I focus on the fear and breathe through it and say, I see you for the liar that you are, and continue to do that over and over and over again. And I can control whether I'm able to be in that sweat lodge the entire time. So the next time I get out there, I do the uncomfortable work and I get in that sweat lodge and I stay focused this time on looking at the fear, looking in the face and saying, I can't control that you're talking, I can't control what you're saying, but I don't believe you, so I'm going to focus on breathing. And so I focused on breathing. And round by round, as much as I had the same freak out sensations going on, but this time I saw what I could control, I saw what I couldn't control, and my uncomfortable work was staying in that sweat lodge, and I stayed in to the end. And I remember when I got out, the feeling that I had, the exhilaration. I mean, we have all had an experience where we are scared to death. And whether it's giving a speech, whether it's climbing a hill, whether it's proposing to somebody, asking someone out, we've all had that moment where we were so scared about how something was going to go and we thought we were going to die, and that fear made us sweat. In this case, for me, literally. And then we were able to walk through it. And it's interesting, when you get to the other side and you look back, you can kind of go, you know what, fear? I think that you're a liar. I don't think that you tell me the truth. And that's a really powerful thing, because this story isn't about the sweat lodge. This story is about how can you intentionally walk through the things that are going to scare you to death to the point where you're physically sweating, and be able to surrender the outcome, focus on what you can control, focus on what you can't control, and then do the uncomfortable work. When I did that uncomfortable work, I've taken that uncomfortable work with me everywhere I've gone ever since then. Whenever I have to go through something that I think I'm going to die or I'm scared to death, I think about that moment in the sweat lodge and I think, you know what? All these thoughts going on right now, they're lying. These are lying thoughts. This isn't real. And when we are able to intentionally identify what we can control and can't control, suddenly we are free to walk through things that would stop us from being our best selves. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know what is more scary than living without a mask in this world. Being scared of what other people think and being so scared that I want to not lead myself and be true to myself. I want to instead worry about what other people are thinking. Whether it's a fear that we're going to be socially outcast, whether it's a fear that we're going to die, the ability to see that our fear is a liar and not let it make us sweat is an incredible tool. So for you, when you go out there this week, something's going to scare you. I don't know what it is, but something is going to scare you. And what I want you to do is take from this story, I want you to sit there and think, how do I turn this fear into a liar? And identify what you can't control, identify what you can, get clear on your uncomfortable work, and go do it. And then I would love it if you shared it with me. And then it would be really cool if you taught someone else how to do that too. Because we all are scared. Fear is something that we all share in common, but how we get through it is something we all don't share in common. Learning better ways to do that is something that mask-free living teaches you. And if you want help with mask-free living, go to michaelbrody-waite.com, where I'm constantly with my team putting out resources to help you work the 3 principle system for mask-free living and leadership. And also on social media, if this video impacted you in any way, if you went and did something different in the world and had a positive or negative experience, we would love if you shared that with us by doing a post and tagging us or just sending us a message. So hopefully I'll see you on social, and I hope that you have a great week.